We were off last week and they decided to make big announcements about Tiana. We're going to break everything down on that. DreamWorks Land is open. We're going to take a look inside there. And we've got IP coming to the parks. We'll talk about it tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome, everyone, to ParksCenter for today, May 19th, 2024. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys, as always, for being with us. We appreciate you. If you have not already, please subscribe to WDWNT TV. Tell a friend. Get your kids signed up. Everybody should be involved. And also give us a thumbs up, as it helps people to find us. Tonight, folks, we have a lot to cover, and we pulled together the crack team of the week, starting with Kamila.
You know what? I'm going to take being called the crack team, and I will just say we weren't off last weekend. We were waiting for this panel, Desi, Patrick, and myself. Also, it's nice that you're here, Rob, but you were waiting for us to talk about all the news. So we're here.
Wow. Keep them humble. Keep them humble. Desi.
Aloha. How's it going?
It was going great until, 2 minutes ago. And Patrick Hackett. What's going on, Patrick?
Hey, this week's episode brought to you by Shiplap and Ruggables.
We have so many cool conversations. We shouldn't do it. We shouldn't do a post show. We should do a pre-show, because there was lots of fun things that we talk about on the pre-show that we should just share with everybody. But we'll talk about that stuff at the post show. Thank you guys for being with us here to talk about that. We, you know what? I think we need to continue talking about things that Disney hasn't done, because usually when we do, and I don't for a second believe it's because we did. I feel like it's a Murphy's Law. The last show we were talking about, well, they still haven't announced when Tiana's Bayou Adventure is open up, and sure enough, literally last Sunday when we were off for Mother's Day, and I hope everybody had a happy Mother's Day, when we were off for Mother's Day, they made a huge announcement. But here's what I love is the timeline of this thing. So they made an announcement that said, hey, listen to Disney Night on American Idol tonight, and we have a big announcement concerning Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So everybody was like, great, they're probably going to tell us, when it's opening up. Then the Disney Parks blog posts, hey, here's the date that it's opening up. June 28th is when it's coming. And then they pulled it. I feel like somebody wasn't supposed to do that, or maybe they had that article timed to hit at 9 a.m. instead of p.m. I don't know what happened there. But they kind of retracted it, and then they were like, I guess we're all in. And then Ryan Seacrest had the privilege of telling us secondhand that night that Tiana's Bayou Adventure was opening up June 28th. Let me go to Kamila, to you on this before we start talking about the previews. I feel like this was Disney kind of getting ready and getting all their ducks in a row before they put a date out there, as opposed to letting us know 6 months in advance and then coming up short. I feel like they planned this one out pretty well. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel like even if they botched the rollout a little bit, the most important thing is they said it was going to be summer 2024. And you know what? June is summer 2024. So, regardless, they nailed the timeline. And now we get to find out very soon whether or not they nailed the retheme. So, there's still questions, but it's an exciting update.
Yeah. I mean, for some reason, I think I heard somewhere people were going, they're not really happy with the retheme. It could have just been a rumor. I can't substantiate that anywhere. I'm excited to see it, because everything they've kind of snuck out to us, as opposed to the Zach Ridley color of the floor, they've actually shown us all the animatronics along the way and what they're going to look like. So we're pretty excited that that's finally happening. And they announced previews, which, with such a short window, I was a little surprised they did. Sometimes they do previews like something like Ratatouille or Tron. Sometimes they don't, like Frozen didn't have a preview when that happened. But they've got previews for cast. Cast members start signing up tomorrow, and they go June 2nd. And then they've got DVC previews going on December 12th and 19th, I believe. And then June 13th start the previews for AP. And Patrick, there was the biggest scramble. I mean, I've never seen people go for park reservations as quickly as they did the other day, and they're not even promised to get in. Were you already booking your trip back down, or what?
No, no. I'm going to let them work all of the kinks out and see what Lightning Lane and all that comes down to before I go down there for an opening of an attraction. These are usually a bit of a cluster, and I do not want to participate in said cluster. I am so excited for this, though, and I'm excited at how excited everyone else is getting. It seems like the anticipation, like the little Chiron says, we're almost there, and the more and more I see about this, the more excited I get. I recently just watched the behind the attraction for Epcot, and the Imagineers talked about the difficulty in retheming an attraction versus a brand new attraction, and you're weighing it against the past instead of it just existing out there on its own. We see that with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. We see that with our friends on and Elsa over in Norway. And I think that the positive vibes for this have finally taken over the negativity, and I think it's really going to knock it out of the park.
All right, let's start some rumors. I mean, why not? This is going to be, and we had an article about it, virtual queue and Lightning Lane confirmed for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Did we ever think that was not going to be a thing? It's like, hey, when this was Splash Mountain, you didn't need to pay, but when it's Tiana, you gotta pony up if you want Lightning Lane. But with this, and Patrick, I'll throw it back to you on this because again, I know you love giving Disney money for Genie Plus and Lightning Lane.
I do not.
Don't mind if I
do not love it. I do not love it. I do it out of necessity.
Okay. Yeah. So here's the thing. Already, the Magic Kingdom is the only park that has 2 paid entries, right? So the Magic Kingdom has the paid entry to get into Seven Dwarfs, and then they have the VQ and the paid entry to get into Tron. Patrick, when this launches, do you think we will see one of those go away, or at least the virtual queue go away?
I think you're going to see the virtual queue go away for Tron, and I think you'll see paid for Seven Dwarfs go away. I don't think anybody's going to pay for Seven Dwarfs if you can pay for Tiana. I think you're going to see wait times drop significantly. There's a lot of queue space in there. So we'll see, but yeah, I don't foresee the virtual queue hanging around for Tron, and I don't see paying for Seven Dwarfs.
Okay, Kamila, same question. Thoughts?
I think the opposite. I think it makes more sense to leave Tiana as like the general Lightning Lanes. Like if you buy Genie Plus, you can still try to get it. And I hope that they do that. I don't know. I feel like they can do so much more with the line in Splash compared to the line at Seven Dwarfs. So I feel like it makes sense to actually leave the paid Lightning Lanes as they are and then just, add like a Lightning Lane Genie Plus, but not additional paid options. So I'm hoping that's actually what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see them drop one of the virtual queues at least, and then also to be able to get us back into the situation where there's only 2 that are paid and the rest of it, or the other one is covered in Genie Plus, because this could be a bad slope if it's like, okay, there are now 3 paid Lightning Lanes. Do I hear 4? Hey, maybe the Country Bears when that one opens, because everybody's going to want to be in there. I mean, so I'd rather not see that. One question I want to get to, or to ask to Desi before we move on, because I know you love a good photo pass. Did you see this photo pass picture, and do you have thoughts? It looks like it's mostly like, if this is the way it's going to work out, it looks like it's all cartoonish except the boat that you're in. So then why am I taking this picture?
Is that real? Is that, I don't know if that's really what it's going to look like, because they don't actually have it yet, because obviously they just photoshopped in some boat from when it was what's it called?
Yeah, I know.
Splash
we all forget
Mountain.
The name of it. Yep.
Splash Mountain.
Yeah. No, but it says Disney released this photo. This is actually supposed to be Disney PhotoPass release, this photo. So, again, you can hardly see any of the actual attraction here. It looks like just basically the boat on there, which, by the way, you know what? Spend some money and do something more than just taking the rabbit off the front of the boat. Like, we should have had new logs. I mean, I don't know. Maybe? No? Okay.
I'm not convinced that's actually what it's going to look like.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you get your first one done, we'll post it. We'll bring it on here and we'll talk about it, and we'll do like a frame by frame breakdown. Let's talk about this Fantasy Springs. So those of you who follow WDWNT know that Mr. Corliss is over in Japan, going through just for us. Out of the kindness of his heart, he's just for us covering everything that is about Fantasy Springs and its grand openings. So there have been a lot of things leaked out, and they're doing soft openings now for these attractions, and they look kind of amazing. I think we knew they were going to be good, but just that shot, and again, this happened while we were off, so I wanted to make sure to talk about it. Just that shot of the scene with Anna and Elsa where Anna is frozen and then becomes unfrozen, to me looks freaking amazing. And then of course there's several others, and we've talked about them a little bit, but now that there's soft opening and you've seen some of the pictures, Desi, what do you think of the I know you're going too, so what do you think of what you're seeing?
I am so excited. This actually, I don't know what I'm going to do, because there was already so much that I wanted to see in Disney Sea that I only have 2 days at Disneyland in my Tokyo trip. I was planning 1 day at Disney Sea, 1 day at Disneyland, and now I need to go to Disneyland, or can I spend 2 days at Disney Sea? Because there's just so much there that I want to see and do. Not even just the rides, the lands themselves look gorgeous, and I mean, my kids would just have so much fun running around Captain Hook's ship. That looks...
Well, I will say that, as you know, I think most things that are Tokyo get Tom's sign of approval. We already had this that came up today. It says, "I've got a nightmare" instead of "I've got a dream." The Snuggly Duckling restaurant disappoints in Tangled Kingdom at Fantasy Springs. Kamila, when we opened parks like or areas like Avengers Campus, it felt a little bit like there could have been more. This one to me feels like that they went and did everything they possibly could do, from restaurants to attractions, and packed it as full as possible. I mean, just as at an outside point, do you feel like we need to be better in the U.S. parks about when we open up lands like this?
Well, we need to have the same types of investors who are willing to spend all kinds of money that they seem to have over at the Tokyo parks. But no, I mean, I think everything is looking really well done. I don't know. I feel like I know we get like the Tangled ride, but it still kind of feels like it's a lot of things that we've seen before, at least somewhat. So I would have been interested to see, I don't know, something that just felt really fresh, really different. Even as I like saw some of the photos and the videos of like the Tangled ride, I don't know, I just was kind of thinking like it reminds me a little bit of some of the dark boat rides that we have here in Pandora Land. So I don't know. I didn't see anything that made me think, let me like hop on a plane and go to Tokyo. Or if I do make it to Tokyo, I don't know that that's my first stop still, but.
Really? Wow. I must just be drinking.
You got to
way too
zip
much
line into
Kool-Aid.
Godzilla's mouth first. That's your first stop in Tokyo, is the zip line directly into Godzilla's mouth. Then you go to Disney Sea. First Godzilla, then Disney Sea. Listen, I just want some roast beef popcorn. I saw Tom's review, and I'm like, that sounds truly amazing. I don't know, it sounds good. I'm all for it. Something different, something new.
My favorite thing that I saw was that he had a shot of the merchandise in the shop, and they had this rule that you couldn't touch or take or buy the merchandise. You could just look at it, and that must have been excruciating for him. I mean, like, absolutely. Like,
that's why the Snuggly Duckling got a bad review. Mad about the merch still.
Yep, two of these. Oh, I can't take any? Oh, okay, great. I can't touch it? No, that's not good.
So we're saying cupcakes are not supposed.
I guess so. And I don't know that they're even selling the buckets yet for the popcorn, because I know that the Peter Pan stand where the roast beef popcorn was, I feel like we would have seen a picture of the Peter Pan popcorn bucket already had he had been able to get his hands on it. So that would be a thing. Let's jump on to halfway to Halloween. This is something, again, they were going to announce right after we had our last show. And I am always excited about Halloween. I think we all are, but I want to go to Kamila first on this one because Oogie Boogie. I haven't heard yet. Like, I don't think we know when that's going to open, but tell me you're going this year. I can't wait to like get my hands on tickets. I didn't go last year, but I need to go this year.
I'm thinking about going this year. I mean, for sure, between the two, Oogie Boogie Bash is the one that I'm much more interested in. But there's also, I don't know, they make it so difficult to get tickets that it's like, do I even want to go through that just to go? You know, I don't know. Lately, I've been more into the Christmas party at Disney World compared to trying to make it to either of the Halloween parties. And Oogie Boogie, my biggest issue is it's just so hard to try to go.
Yeah, I mean, and the tickets go so quickly for that one. It is kind of insane. Um, It'll be interesting to see if they get the Haunted Mansion open for it because they're opening up so early. Oogie Boogie starts in August this year and takes place, even though it takes place in Disney California Adventure, they show us the merch and show it in Disneyland. So we're saying that the merch looks like it's Oogie Boogie, but it's Disneyland. I actually love the merch that they have here.
No.
This
Shocking.
shirt. This shirt right here. Yes, stop it. Stop it. It's fine. Like, I feel like that's a good one. This is a little much for me, but like, you know, this one I'd be all about doing that one. But yeah, they are starting it a little bit early this year, and again, it's a very cool attraction, and I'm very excited to get a chance to check it out.
When Mansion reopens, is it going to be like the special Mansion? When's the
Haunted
next
Mansion
time we're going to
holiday.
see? Yeah, when's the next time we're going to see Mansion at its mansion at Disneyland? Whoa.
Mansion at Mansion. I don't know. Hey, let's stop for a second. We talk about we have a super chat here. Thank you for representing. I appreciate it, Desi. This is from Jungle Cruiser. I just can't wait to ride our Disneyland version in 60-degree, talking about Tiana, 60-degree winter weather. They should call it Hypothermia the Ride. Genius timing. You know what? It gets cold in the summer there, too. You know, the nights aren't always like super warm in California, but yeah, the fact that the attraction Tiana's Bayou Adventure is opening later in 2024. Here's the thing that occurred to me the other night is D23 Expo happens mid-August. How great would it be if Josh Jamaro said, "Hey guys, guess what? Tiana's Bayou Adventure in Disneyland opens to you right now. Go." Like, I mean, baller
Yeah, that
move.
should go well. That should go real well.
Move. Yes, the Honda Center or whatever, just like people just
Empties.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
good. We don't have any actual announcements. We've drawn you all here. And now go back there.
I gotta say, Chapek did it one year with Fantasmic at a D23 because Fantasmic had been closed because of Rivers of America being shortened for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and they opened it up as a preview to people who were at D23 Expo that night. It was a disaster. So again, if it were something like an attraction,
Bob Chapek in a disaster? No.
who would have thought? No, that's what
Hi,
the kids call
Christine. How's it
impossible.
going?
So yeah, right. Let's move on to the next one, which is they had an investors call, and in the investors call, they said that the money was up for the parks, but the attendance is down. Here's the thing about an investors call, is as an investor, you do want to know that. You do want to know, hey, the money's still up. We still want to be there. As a fan, what a slap in the face that feels like to go, oh, hey, don't worry, guys, we're still making money. We're just charging our loyal fans more than is humanly possible. Like, that's the way you do it. And I get it. Again, that's the line, because investor calls are open, like open information. They're not a secret when you're a publicly traded company. So the fact that you have to say these things to your investors and not affect your fan base, Patrick, I see you just nodding your head and shaking it left and right. What are your thoughts here?
I mean, that's my money. Like, that's my Lightning lanes and my Genie Plus and in my premium parking and all the perks that I pay for, even though I continually go back to the parks. And it's upsetting. I'm not going to say it's not upsetting. I'm not going to say I'm going to stop doing it. But, like, I don't know, it doesn't feel great for them to be like, yeah, attendance is down, but we still made a buttload of money off you suckers. Dummies, the whole lot of you.
Yeah, I mean, but again, that's the line that they walk when they do this. Is that, again, Disney Parks reporting $8.3 billion in revenue for Q2 2024, and they're talking about the fact that the attendance has waned post COVID, and they're expecting an even lower demand this year. But don't worry, because we have raised the price, because we have cut our expenses, we're going to be fine. Okay, so wait a minute, it's going to be harder for me to get a table at Sebastian's and I have to pay more money, but bottom line is okay. But again, it's a company. That's how it works. So Kamila, do you have thoughts on this one before we take off here?
I mean, I just will say, like, I even noticed in myself, I feel like once the parks opened back up, I went so much that even for me, I'm like, where else in the world do I want to go? Because it is expensive to do something that I did, 5 months ago. And so, like, even for me, like, I'm looking for, other experiences, new experiences, and not just doing the same old $200 Halloween party where the candy is going to melt because, it's so hot anyway. I don't know. I just, it becomes a harder sell. And it's not like, these $700 a night rooms are phenomenal. So it's hard.
I honestly, I know Patrick is a firm believer in let's get rid of everything that was COVID except for the 6 feet apart thing. And honestly, I was thinking about this a lot recently about how different our lives are than they were during COVID, and talking to some people about the parks who went very like after COVID. And it was one of those things where you went from no one wants to go because everybody's afraid the floor is lava. We don't want to go there. And then it turned into that revenge travel where everybody's like, oh, screw you, I'm going to the parks. And then it was like, that was where we had the photos of the line to get into Haunted Mansion met the line to get into Big Thunder back to back. And it's just like, okay, now it's pretty bad, even though you guys said you've got a cap on it because of these reservations. So before we move on, we do also have one more super chat here. He bringing it. Theme parks and things. Thank you for being awesome, all of you, and the wigs. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. That is fantastic. Thank you, and I guess that includes you, Patrick. So, good job, buddy. Way to go, pal.
Nice job.
Yeah, nice job, pal. So here's one of the things that when it came up, I immediately was like, I feel like we need to talk about this. And I saw after we posted it, tonight's topic on Facebook, people just were like, people had opinions. People had opinions about this. So, it wasn't the investors call, but it was, let me get this right because I'll probably screw it up. The Moffett-Nathanson Media and Communications Summit on Wednesday. Mr. Iger was talking, and he said that almost all the investments in Disney parks, and as we know, there's a lot of money coming in the next 10 years, in Disney parks attractions and lands will be IP based. And for those of you who don't know and don't live and breathe Disney the way that we do, IP, intellectual property, Frozen, Star Wars, Avengers, things like that. So I think as Disney traditionalists, we're like, oh, but Mystic Manor and Small World and Pirates and Haunted Mansion and these things that are original stories for the parks are the things that mean the most to us. But I'm also seeing it from the other side of like, what little kid, if we, hey, you have your little kids at home and you're getting them psyched about Disney and we're going to Disney World and you get to see Mission Space. What's that, Dad? What's Mission Space? Like, you get to see the Wall-E ride. Okay, yeah, I want to go see that. But Patrick, you're nodding your head. What, like, which side of the fence are you on this?
I mean, you picked like the absolute worst possible thing that you could in mission space.
You're welcome.
Something that shouldn't even be there. That, yeah, replace it with an IP. Replace it with a restaurant. I don't care. It's trash. So what the issue is that when you're making these attractions, like we have Tiana's ride that is going to be a continuation of her story. I don't care. I would love to just relive the ride. That's what the classic dark rides are. It's reliving the movie, and you're experiencing that. I don't want to hear about Tiana's co-op. You are creatively stifling yourself by going to existing IP, and you run the risk of things that we see at Universal and a little bit with Guardians of the Galaxy, where you're not getting the right actors and voice actors to do the parts that you need them to do. I think this is a terrible idea, and it is really hamstringing the creativity of Imagineering. I think there could be a good mix. I think we should be pushing our Imagineers to be coming up with new and creative things instead of the same old, same old. Like, how many other IPs can we shoehorn in? What about when their popularity wanes? It seems like it's more work.
At the same time, I feel like there's so many IPs, and I've always talked about 101 Dalmatians, so many IPs that exist because of how much property they own between 20th Century Fox, Muppets, Star Wars. I want to live more of those adventures in the parks, but I get what you're saying. So again, two sides of the coin. Which is it? Like Small World is Small World. It was designed for the 64 World's Fair. They brought it in. It's dolls. It's not themed. But then Disneyland and Tokyo Disneyland were like, what if we put IP into it? What if we put Cinderella and all of these other characters into it? Country Bears is not IP, but when it comes out and it's open again, they're going to be singing Disney songs. So, Kamila, thoughts about all this?
It's really tough because so many of my favorite rides are non-IP, but so I would love to see a situation or a scenario where they continue to give us at least some of that. And it doesn't even maybe necessarily have to be a full attraction, but just, figure out ways to weave new things in. And I'm trying to think, like Expedition Everest is also an example of a non-IP ride, right?
Yeah. But it was more fun.
Okay,
to make fun
I was just
of,
making sure
it
I
was
wasn't
more fun
crazy.
to make fun of Mission Space. I felt like, so go ahead.
Well, but what's also funny is then you have like Tron, which like I don't, I know it's technically an IP, but I have no idea what that P is or is about. So to me, that feels like it's new and fresh. But no, I really would love a world where we can get another Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. And I will just say, what's funny about Disney is whether the IP comes first or not, if they make a ride, they're going to turn it into an IP eventually. That's what we saw with Pirates of the Caribbean, with the Haunted Mansion. So, the thing about Disney is they're going to find ways to get absolutely everything out of anything that they produce. But yeah.
But to your point, though, that's actually better for them, right? To be able to create something in the park and then go and make movies about it. I wonder, and before I throw it to Desi, who seems like she has thoughts, I want to ask this question, and just Patrick, since you're wearing purple, I'll ask you this: is Figment IP?
Yeah, but it's Parks IP. Someone else in the chat mentioned Orange Bird. I mean, there's plenty of your own IP that you developed in the park that's separate from, film and things like that. And like Kamila very eloquently put it, they're going to make something else out of it eventually. Now I want to hear Desi's thoughts because she's like waiting in like to pounce.
I understand how much everybody likes, but I just saw all the stuff that came to Fantasy Springs, and that is IP heavy, and that all looks painful. If all they're going to do is bring some of that stuff that they already spent the Imagineering budget on thinking it up and designing it over there, and all they have to do is just rebuild it here, I'm fine with that. Bring it on. And then I don't have to spend 2 days at Tokyo Disney Sea. I can spend 1 day there and not feel as bad about it.
Yeah, I almost feel like that's a separate conversation that we've always had about, like, why does Galaxy's Edge look exactly the same on both coasts? Why do we continue to duplicate rides when, when people can actually drive to these places? I get it if it's overseas, but we would like to have new things, and it makes it easier for us to have more new things if you don't duplicate them in both parks when you're building them. So yeah, I agree with you on that one. But the thing that my wife said when I was bringing this up to her, which it's a great conversation starter, and sometimes you could get beat up if you ask the wrong question, is like, when I brought it up to her, she said when they started Disneyland, we weren't as flush with IP. Like 1955, they didn't have all of the Disney IP that we have now, much less Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, Nat Geo, 20th Century Fox, all that stuff. We didn't have any of that IP. So at the time, they kind of, Patrick, you were saying the challenge Imagineers to do something new. At that point, they were like, there's nothing, we have to do something new. Like, we're almost like required because we don't know, we don't have anything else to do. Now we have so much IP that it feels like, my wife is just champing at the bit, chomping. She's excited to get.
It's chomping, but it's spelled champing.
And happy Preakness weekend too. So to get Encanto in the parks, and but she was also bringing up sometimes that with some of the IP they wait so long that when they finally bring it in, it's like, why are you bringing this in now, Kim Possible? Why are you bringing this in now, DuckTales Adventure that's been canceled? Like, why is it? Like, it seems weird, some of the IP that they bring in. Tron, apparently. Although Tron is still a viable
there was just
IP
a bunch of
because
casting announcements for that
because there's a new movie. Yeah. So anyway, I think this
still
will be a
need Mary
conversation.
Poppins the ride though first.
Yes, agree. Again, 101 Dalmatians has so much, and yet there's nothing. Like, I don't get it. I mean,
would
people love puppies.
101 Dalmatians attraction look like, bud?
It would be white with black spots.
Well done. Right.
Okay,
fair.
thank you.
Fair.
Like Mr.
So,
Toad's, but with Cruella's DeVille car.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Sign Desi up for Imagineering.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let's talk about this for a second. Is a lot of times strange things happen in the parks, and we talk about them in a segment that we call "It Came from the Parks." And this could be something that happened with cast members. This could be something that happened with guests. It's usually guests, and there's usually alcohol involved. However, what I like to do with this is when we have so many of them, I like to read off all the ones we have, and then let everybody choose the ones that they want to choose to talk about. So I have 4. One of them is super sad. And so I don't know if you're going to want to...
about to say, and I'd already tuned out.
We just skip that. We don't even have to mention it.
Okay, we won't. I'll skip that one. We'll just go with 3 then. I won't even mention it. So then here are the ones that are up for grabs this week. And again, the longer...
Interesting choice of terms.
The longer the... Thank you. You're welcome. The longer the title, usually the more interesting the story. But this one is Grandma Groped Goofy. Character allegedly assaulted by an elderly woman at Walt Disney World. So that's the first one. The second one is an elementary school teacher arrested for assaulting a woman during a field trip to Tokyo Disneyland, which again, not here, but still happening. And the third one, Clawhauser deflates during a Zootopia pre-parade at Shanghai Disney. That's just funny. Honestly, it's just, it could be devastating to a child, but it seems pretty funny to me. So let's start with Kamila. Which one of these stories do you find more interesting?
I will just say, PSA, do not leave anything living in your car, especially in the summer. Just don't do it. Don't do it.
Yes.
Agreed.
But, also like the cast member meet and greet is one where I feel like it highlights almost a bigger issue where people forget that like there's a real person, whether it's in the costume or even for some of the face actors or the face characters. And there's so much where like they want this immersion, but I definitely feel like people can take it too far. And especially if you're an adult, that's awful. Like, that's still a person, whether it's someone in a princess costume or someone in a goofy costume. And so, I just need, I don't know, like, this is just, all of these are like, be better humans. But don't forget that those are real people in those costumes.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And we hear way too many of those stories, especially with like the face characters, I think. But anyway,
Yeah.
Patrick, what you got?
How you gonna have Clawhauser deflate, man? Like, I'm looking at it and it just looks so terrifying. I think that this is the risk when you have kind of those inflatable characters. I gave Baymax a big hug once, and I was quite concerned about his structural integrity. Um, that feels like something that we need to make sure that we don't let happen, because yeah, that can be super traumatizing. On the whole groping thing, it is very difficult to like know where the cast members are and when you're meeting them in fur costumes. So please be very careful with how you hug, place your hands. Just try and be a decent human. And again, yeah, don't leave anything living in your car. Thank you, Kamila, for that.
Um, do you guys ever see the stories about Keanu Reeves? And we may have talked about this before. That when he's getting a picture with a fan, he keeps his hand up above, like behind them, so you can see his hand
Yep.
is not on them in the picture, which is just like
Smart.
that's smart, exactly. So I think that's something to keep in touch with these characters. Don't be in touch with these characters. Hug them, and then get your picture, and then move on. What are your thoughts? Which one are you picking, Desi?
Grandma clearly knew what she was doing because she had her hand where nobody could see it. Only Goofy knew what she was doing. The photographer couldn't see it. She, gives him a little squeeze and goes, "Woo!" She knew what she was doing. Then when Goofy tells them to leave and her son's like, "What did you do? Nothing?" You knew you did something, Grandma. You knew. Come on.
I'm sorry, you dropped out a little bit. Grandma gave him a squeeze and said what?
Woo!
Yeah, we did hear that part. I just want to hear you do that again. That's funny. So here's the Clawhauser thing we were talking about before. Again, do you think there's part of like the character helper training is like, if Clawhauser ever starts to go flat, make sure to support his head until you can get him out of sight immediately. And I assume they pulled him out of that car and are walking him off. I don't know how that works over there, but I
don't know. It just looks like he's in trouble.
Yeah.
I think even
Grab him by the ear.
Has him by the ear. Yeah.
I
You know what
wouldn't
you
have
mean,
even known that
Clawhauser.
that was an inflatable head. I would have thought that it was structurally.
Imagine you're watching though as it's deflating. The kids are
Clawhauser
probably like, "What's
slowly getting
happening?"
sad. Oh, poor Clawhauser. Oh, yeah, exactly. I don't know. Again, I mean, things happen. Things happen, but because everyone's got a camera, we get to share it with you because the internet provides. Is basically what I'm saying here. So let's move on to this next one. There was cookie drama, and of the highest order. Honestly, Gideon's Bakehouse is one of those things that I've never been to because the line, and I think I've said this before, the line was always crazy, especially because I think it opened like during or right after COVID, and they would have the lady with the iPad that would say, "I'm sorry, at 10 a.m. we are booked for the rest of the day. You can't come in," and it's just like, really. This is worse than any club I've ever tried to get into, and that includes mannequins, and it was right there. So I just look at it as like, okay, that's a really cool place, and yet we had this article that hit the site. The Gideon's Bakehouse employees report dirty and dangerous working conditions at Disney Springs, and makes it feel like, and no offense, but a McDonald's. Which, by the way, I love McDonald's. I'm loving it. But they have, you kind of hold them to a higher standard. It's Gideon's. It's on a pedestal, and it's also one of these things that's at Disney Springs, so it should be better. So I don't know. When I'm looking at this, I I hate the idea that there was, bad things happening, but also at the same time, the owner stepped up and said, "This is not what we're about at all." So, I want to ask Kamila, like, did you have thoughts on this one? Have you been to Gideon's before?
Yes, multiple times, Rob, and you need to quit with those excuses, okay? Get over there. What's fascinating about this is, like, if you've ever been to Gideon's, then you know it's not that large of a space. So, like, who knew all this drama was brewing behind the scenes in that tiny little cookie shop and that little alleyway in Disney Springs? But I, I was shocked. Like, cookie drama, Gideon's cookie drama, I never could have guessed in a million years. And the way this all unfolded was so dramatic. Like, it was so dramatic. And look, if you feel like, something is happening and you want to make people aware, I think you have every right to do that. But, like, the rollout and the language used was just so dramatic. And but at the same time, if there's an issue, I hope that they can figure it out, get it worked out. But, like, that is a small shop to have this much drama. Maybe that's the problem, is it's, like, so tiny. But wow, I just never would have guessed.
Yeah, same thing. But again, I mean, they seem to have their act together with the monthly cookie releases and, like, the artwork they have and the whole vibe of the store, and it seems to fit perfectly into the Disney vibe, especially at Disney Springs, and it becomes its own attraction. Desi, any thoughts on this one?
Reminds me of Glassdoor. Basically, you want what any employees have to say about a particular company. 99% of them who are going to go through the effort to write something are going to have something bad to say. And then the majority of employees probably, aren't as disgruntled, would be my guess. I wasn't living it firsthand, but I would assume if you are getting paid that little, you're going to be disgruntled no matter what. So I feel like that was more of the issue than the dirty, if I had to guess. But I don't know because I wasn't there. But, based on what the CEO said in his statement, I kind of, I don't know which way to lean, but he said things in my opinion.
Do you think he
He
said
needs a
good
PR
things?
team immediately.
Oh, he needs a PR team.
He
Okay,
needs
I
someone to
wasn't
help
sure,
him
like, if
write
you.
that.
Gotcha. Yeah, and again, I mean, it seems like a great business on the outside, so I hope that that's, like you said, the Glassdoor thing. I hope it's one of those things that everybody has, that maybe it was just one disgruntled employee, and they posted on their Instagram, "We've won and we're unionizing," and but across the board, it seemed like it was one person, maybe, I don't know. But they did thank WDW&T for writing the article and supporting them. So hopefully, if there was a problem, this helped to solve it. Yeah, there you go. Who knows? Let's talk about drones. There's a drone show coming to Disney Springs called Disney Dreams That Soar. And honestly, it looks pretty amazing. And, the story, kids, gather around, is that if you have a dream of flying, or you do fly, then, your dreams will soar with you. And that's kind of cool, is that there's a reason that it's all tied together. I don't know how the Death Star ties into that. But there's gonna be a Death Star, like a full-size Death Star, Desi. So I assume you're gonna be there when it opens up. This opens up May 24th at Disney Springs. Patrick, there is thought that this is sort of like a beta test for finally bringing something to Animal Kingdom. Would you be on board with that?
I think this is a tremendously bad idea that I cannot wait to see, because there's no way that a nighttime spectacular at Disney Springs where people don't have to pay for it is not going to make that place insane. I don't know, man. I'm like in the super minority. I loved Rivers of Light. I really enjoyed Rivers of Light. I don't think the drones are going to be any less obnoxious to the animals. Also, what happens if one of those drops and now it's in an enclosure? I take that as just rumor. I am so excited for this show and the absolute disaster that it's going to make out of Disney Springs. but it looks so great. It really looks good. I'm excited. Like, this looks like so much fun.
Yeah. Honestly, again, I mean, and this opens up May 24th, so Patrick, you don't have to wait too long to read about how insane it is. They recommend that you go and watch it from the area between the Cirque du Soleil pavilion and the characters in flight. So on that bank there is apparently the best place to watch it. I think that they were setting up some seating on the other side of Lake Buena Vista where the Saratoga Springs is. But, you know, I got to imagine a drone show needs to be seen and like really enjoyed from a certain perspective. So I think that's the perspective that they have in mind of where you should be when you see it. There are 2 shows every night. And it's at 9 p.m. and 10:45, and it runs through September 2nd, which, again, the fact that it's a short run, I'm not really sure if it feels more like a test because it's a short run. So I want to ask Kamila, what are your thoughts on this one?
I like this a lot. And I hadn't thought, honestly, about whether or not this would make Disney Springs more of a nightmare. But I also feel like, you know, can it really get any worse? Like if you go on a weekend? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But I love that they're doing this. Anytime they are using space to, you know, in a new, innovative way, I think that is really exciting. I also am hoping that this could be a test and we could see something come to Animal Kingdom now that the kite show has been sunset for a little while. Although if you want to bring back the kite show also and then just have a drone show at night, that's fine. People would appreciate that. But no, I think this is really cute. I'm curious to see if we'll also start to see any special offerings around it, like how they have the boat cruise, like the fireworks boat cruises. Like, will they have, you know, anything like that? Because that's a quick way to make a fun, you know, $400 plus.
It's a good way to get Patrick's money.
I was about to say, why is there not a Haleo dining package to be able to watch this? That seems like a missed opportunity.
Special characters in flight.
Wow. Yeah. But I would be annoyed by that one. You ever stood really close to the fireworks at the Magic Kingdom and someone in front of you holds up a balloon? It would be like that.
And
or
then
not.
Pull out
maybe.
a pin and pop it.
I don't think that's gonna be possible.
Wow, that was that. But I don't know. That's kind of dark. It's like, wow. Okay, but I literally had that happen. The worst place was at Disneyland because that castle is so low, and somebody goes and gets a balloon and comes and gets in front of me with a balloon, and I'm like, "Are you for real right now?" Also, it was not a child, so that was an interesting twist on it. So let's talk about DVC a little bit because they extended the DVC permit for them to be able to build the Reflections Lakeside Lodge. Patrick's nodding his head already. He doesn't think they're going to actually build Reflections of Lakeside Lodge because they kind of changed gears because that was going to be built right over there by Fort Wilderness, and they had filled in River Country and they were going to build on top of it, and then COVID happened. They were like, you know what, we haven't started this yet, let's not make a money pit right now, let's just cover this up, and we're going to cover this up, and we're going to bury the Mary Poppins attraction in here and the play pavilion in here and the reset of the Spaceship Earth. All of that's going to be buried right there, and no one's ever going to know about it. So that happened. That's been extended. But also they finally came up with the name of the tower, the Polynesian Tower, and oh my gosh, the name is so good. It's so,
I'm gonna
it's so
punch
inventive.
my laptop right now.
It's so different. It's so unique. It is the tower at Disney's Polynesian Village. Wait, haven't we already been calling it that? I
thought it was Island Tower.
The Island
Yeah, I
Tower.
thought it was Island Tower.
Yes, it is.
Island
it is.
Tower.
Island Tower at
so
Disney's
unique.
Polynesian. Here's the Island Tower at Disney's Polynesian villas and bungalows. But that's just the long way of saying the Polynesian Tower, right? I mean, isn't that basically what we're going to call it anyway? I mean,
towers.
This fight, this resort.
Yeah. Patrick, do you have thoughts on this or reflections?
I'm gonna channel my inner Kendrick Lamar for a diss track on this resort because It is. I hate the way it looks. I hate the way it talks. I hate everything about this resort. I just hate it. I hate it so much. I hate the name. I hate the generic lobby that they're giving me. And stop trying to make reflections happen. Just stop it. It's not going to happen. There's no more DVC. Nobody needs any more DVC. We need things to do inside the parks. Please put some of the money inside those parks. Expand that. I mean, I still can't get a room at times I want it, but but I just don't know. That hotel it looks like every hotel I've ever seen. There's nothing Disney about it.
Well, the problem though is that, again, if they build new DVC buildings and I don't know, cabins, then there are more points in the pool for people to use to take away from the places that I want to be, and therefore it's not going to get better, it's going to get worse, I feel like. So but I don't know, Desi, is this the Island Tower representative of your needs of a Polynesian resort?
No. I can't think of anything less inventive to come up with. It's a tower off to the side, an island to itself. No, it's a terrible name. They had that. You got towers right there in Aulani. Just copy those blueprints. Just do it. Why did you, there's no need to reinvent the wheel here when you already had a perfect Polynesian tower.
That one would have cost what's it called, money. But I
But
mean,
they already
I'm sure
have
this one's it's more than the blueprint. But yeah, so I'm still trying to figure out what that window area is going to be there inside the side of that building. But they're working super
That's
hard
probably
on
a
it.
grand villa. That's because that looks just like the one at Bay Lake.
Yeah. Kamila, thoughts?
I mean, I feel like don't come for me, but I kind of want to stay there. I think it looks cute. And you know what Desi just said was like really how I feel, and what I like about it is it's giving me Aulani vibes, but I can do like Aulani and the parks with this. And listen, if I can get a
It is
little
not
Mickey
Aulani.
snow cone, okay, and like a Duffy picture, that's all I need. That's all I need. Like I'll be there.
First
it's
off,
funny-
it's not called snow cone.
Shaved ice or shave
Shaved
ice.
ice.
You know what I meant. You know what I meant.
Well, what's really funny about that is that I saw somebody on Twitter saying, yes, everyone please keep complaining about this. Please keep saying how much you hate it so that I can stay there by myself and no one else will be there.
Yeah, but that doesn't
As soon
work.
as I heard Patrick wasn't interested, I was like, I'm signing up right away. No, I just kidding.
But that's a different
It
reason,
doesn't
though.
work.
I feel like that's not the same. That's just because you're trying to avoid him. So I'm not really sure that meets those expectations. But yeah, I mean, again, I think it's one of those things where a lot of people are looking at it and going, I don't like this. This doesn't look Polynesian, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to mess up the skyline. I'm salty, and I think the only one about the Swan and Dolphin, because they're not Disney resorts, but they mess up the skyline. You can see them from everywhere. And I don't think that they're all that great. So
I don't like those
again,
either. I voted against them as soon as possible in March Madness. I kept trying to get them out.
actually went and hung out there for a little bit, and I'm like, oh, these buildings are quite pretty when you get close to them. The big, huge fountain, it's gorgeous. But this is ugly. Let's stay on the ugly thing that I hate.
The Polynesian.
But you know what? I will say, like, I do think Disney is walking a fine line, because like I think the last two times I went to Disney, I stayed at the Riviera and I stayed at the Coronado Gran Destino Tower, and Riviera to me is lifeless. And so I do feel like Disney is walking a very fine line between trying to kind of like modernize and maybe appeal to someone who's not as interested in all of the theming, but then it's like we're still at Disney, and I don't know that I think, like, I just remember like staying at the Riviera and being like, I will never come back here. And it was like, it was expensive, but it was just so lifeless. And and the places I tend to stay, like my family loves Saratoga just for the convenience and all of the space, but like you find charming the little bit of theming that they do have. And I feel like, Disney really has to be careful, or people are going to be like, why would I spend so much to stay here and not just go stay at the Four Seasons? Or, I don't know, the Walnut Creek or the Bonnet Creek, like those places where the price point is a little bit better. So I do feel like they have to be careful.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, there are a lot of people who say they go to Disney and they just want to stay in the hotel or spend a day in the hotel. And as a matter of fact, I talked to some people last night that said I wanted, like, that they didn't get to spend enough time in the hotel. They were at, I think, Animal Kingdom Lodge, and they said there's so many offerings and such a vibe there that they the next time they plan a trip, they're not going to plan it so neurotically. Everything is planned to the minute. They want to have some time to spend in the hotels, which I'm like, rope drop to kick me out. I want to be in the park, but I get it. I mean, they also have some really nice places to stay, but it's one of those things where if it's going to be the same, just like a Four Seasons, then why don't you stay at one nearby instead of paying all that money to go down and have that at Disney? So let's talk about meet and greets. I feel like one of the things that makes Disney special, that Disney difference, is being able to meet your favorite characters in the parks. And there's been a lot of stories over the past couple of weeks that I wanted to kind of bring to everyone's attention about new character meet and greets and things that are on the horizon and moved meet and greets. Before I talk about that, though, Patrick, who's your ride or die? Who's the one you have the most pictures of, you and this character?
That's tough because it's from recent trips. It's Figment. It's, I like to show Figment my tattoo, and I mean, I got all the purple on. It's Mickey. It's Mickey. Mickey's my ride or die. That's who I go and see the most.
Okay. Kamila?
None of them. Listen, I met Mickey once, and it was so traumatic that I was like, never again, ever. Ask Desi. Remember Desi? You guys were like meeting people, and I was like, no, I'm good. I will not do that. It was so traumatic. I tried to meet Mickey one time in the Magic Kingdom. It was the first thing I tried to do, and he was so mean to me, and I was like, absolutely not. I can't believe I just stood in line for that. It was so bad. So no, I hate this character.
What? He was so mean to you. What did he do?
It was mean.
Was it because he tried to grope him?
No. I was like, oh my God, hi. I felt like he was making fun of me. And I was just like, you know what? No, this is not right. And then like the pictures were terrible. No. So I don't do it. It's so dramatic.
Oh my gosh. Oh no, not Mickey.
There's a lot to unpack here. I don't know if ParksCenter is the right place for it.
Yeah, there may be something else. Desi, who's yours? I'm going to go ahead and guess Stitch.
Actually, I was going to say Gaston, because I feel like I have the best interactions with Gaston. Obviously, I'm married. I don't care about Gaston that way, but he's funny. The guys that they pick to be Gaston are just the funniest people. He's always got something witty and silly to say, and he's just like, so, yes, look at me.
I'm confused of the guys they pick to be, like, Gaston's Gaston. Like, I don't understand. You've lost me. I thought that's weird. So some of the new ones, like, I love that they did this. You can join Winnie the Pooh and Piglet in Christopher Robin's bedroom back in the back of Epcot. I guess this is where Mary Poppins used to meet, and then now everybody, including Kamila, goes back and goes, "Where's your ride?" And then they're bringing this back.
I hate that so much.
I
hate it so much.
Why?
Because it
I
should
don't
be
want
the
to
big red
meet
panda.
people. I
want to
meet the panda.
It should be the panda.
I want to meet
I
the
would
panda.
be happy if either version of May came to Epcot, please. Or the parks, really.
You have two
have a big red
panda.
We could have a big red panda in the Asia section of Animal Kingdom, too.
H2O Glow Nights is bringing Phineas and Ferb. They were really fun to meet at the.
Dan Pavemeyer's in the parks enough that he should have his own meet and greet.
Yeah,
To be
Jollywood
fair.
Nights. They were at the Jollywood Nights, so I think maybe they were wearing Santa hats. I can't remember if they were or not, but they were meeting and greeting there. And then you've got the 3 meet and greets returning to Animal Kingdom with Pocahontas, Pluto, and Goofy. I think he's probably still a little bit.
We gonna
bit
talk
weird.
about Pocahontas?
But you know what? Well, okay, wait. Before you say what you're gonna say, because I think I have an idea. This
Okay.
is why getting rid of the flotillas, I think that's what they were called, is
Yes,
like
correct.
such a problem because for people who didn't want to wait in line, or who didn't want to have like direct interaction, like the fact that you could be like sitting in Animal Kingdom enjoying a little drink or some ice cream, and then oh, there goes like Rafiki or Pocahontas or whoever going by, like that was so wonderful. Why are you getting rid of it? And they would have music sometimes, and you would get like so much one-on-one time. Like I don't know, like that's the right way to meet a character to me.
Well, I'm not sure you're the right audience to be making that decision, seeing as though you have beef with Mickey Mouse.
You'll
That
never
one
catch
seems,
me doing it again.
yeah, I don't know. It's like, show me, poor mouse. And then
You're
there was,
mean.
Mila, Mickey'll get over it. Rob, what's wrong with you?
I'm sorry, you're right. I apologize, Kamila. I'm sorry that Mickey Mouse was mean to you.
Well,
So,
I apologize because Patrick had something to say about Pocahontas.
oh, you wanted to talk about
I'm curious.
Pocahontas? Yeah, I'm sorry. Talk
We
about Pocahontas.
we couldn't do better. We really couldn't do better. There's not a single person there that we could get like looks a little bit like Pocahontas, a little more, like a smidge more.
Oh,
Oh no, it's bad. It's bad.
Well,
And
I-
yeah, yep.
they have
Take it off.
the
It's just
same
me, Rob.
problem with
No,
they have the same problem with Naveen. Like who they
Yeah.
cast, and I like the Naveens, but I'm just like, are they Creole? Like what's happening?
I was trying to, because I had closed it out, but so this is the Pocahontas in question.
hmm
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that.
I
Yeah.
didn't do it.
So I know. In post show, I have a Pocahontas story about Allie's significant other. It's pretty funny. But this I like. We get to meet Thumper and Eeyore at
So
Animal Kingdom.
aw.
That's a cute
Thumper's
one.
Possibly the cutest ever.
And then they're doing a casting call for Encanto for Isabella and Luisa lookalikes, which I think that seems kind of huge to me that they would have those there. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people
Those
are
lines,
really, yeah, they're going to be crazy, right?
crazy.
And then finally, I wanted to mention something we talked about because we did Inside Out on Deep in the Plus this week, and we were talking about how Joy is being kicked out of Imagination Land at Epcot. But she is actually going to be moving to Pixar Plaza, I guess is what we're calling it, instead of Pixar Place, over where there's going to be more, like, I guess there's a Sully and Edna meet and greets.
It's
And
great over
so,
there.
Yeah.
If you like meet and greets, that's such a great spot. The end of mode experience is fantastic. There's hardly ever any wait, and you can get the Jack Jack cookie, which is fantastic. Highly recommend. Since having a 4-year-old, I do way more meet and greets than I ever did before. But she loves them, and the character interactions there are great.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely looks like a neat place to go and hang out, and the fact that they use the space again is great because there was a whole time where they would just lock it up and it was kind of going to waste. They had the Jacks there and all that. That was kind of neat to see. So let's move over real quick to Magic Bands. I feel like a lot of people were very complain-y. I'm going to make that word up, about Magic Band Pluses because they're more expensive than the Magic Band 2.0, which apparently they're phasing out. Like, the fact that they were actually won't work anymore. That's awesome news. So the Magic Band Plus is supposed to be interactive the same way of several different things have been in the parks in the past, including Pal Mickey and some other stuff. But at Disney World we have the 50th statues. The statues remain, so there are places to go and tap your band or wave your band and be able to interact with stuff so that it's more useful. I kind of dig when you get off the Haunted Mansion and it kind of pulses with the red heart. Like that to me is something neat. But now they've added a couple things like the Tower of Terror pre-show now has sort of like a lightning effect that'll happen when you go onto that one. That's kind of neat. And then over at Disneyland, they're doing the Pixar sculptures are going to have interactions, but also this. This is something that happened right after we were on last time, and they have a Big Owl statue at Disney California Adventure, and it's interactive with the Magic Band Plus. And why? Like, why is this there? Like, why? But why Big Owl in Disney? Like, I guess because I don't know why. I don't know. Patrick, any of this stuff make you want to buy 18 Magic Band Pluses?
No, I don't want any more Magic Band Pluses. I've stopped collecting Magic Bands. It's too much money. It's crazy. And the fact that you're phasing out some of my more comfortable ones, that's a big time bummer. Why is Big Al there? Doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not really sure why he's there. But Desi?
I did not know until just now that we're phasing out the regular Magic Bands.
Oh, sorry.
What?
Didn't mean to do that to you.
So my kids, like, when they turned 3 and they got to be annual pass holders, the thing they were most excited about was getting their Magic Bands and being able to use them to interact with the statues. And just anytime they light up at all, even when we don't even know why they're lighting up or buzzing or whatever, it just, my kids are like, look, it's lighting up. They love it. So the more places that can happen, the better. However, my husband has not jumped on the bandwagon, and I'm worried he's not going to have a Magic Band that works because he doesn't have one of these new ones yet.
Get your phone.
Yeah, you can use your phone, or the card. But you know what? I've seen this happen with kids.
Phasing out the cards too.
Then just use your phone. Yeah, I did hate that when the Magic Key came around that they wouldn't give you an actual card. It's like you're paying $1,800 and you can't give me a card. Okay. And then it was like anytime we wanted to get a discount, we had to like hand the phone to the waiter to go scan it. Very efficient. Love it. But what I was gonna say was when I've seen this happen a lot, that the family's moving along, trying to truck it along to maybe a dinner reservation or something, and the kid's Magic Band goes off and the kid stops dead. And like the whole family goes on, and they're like, "Where'd he go?" And they're like, "He's like, look, it lit up. Look at this." Like I can imagine that would be one of those things where you got to keep an eye on your kid when all that happens. We're about out of time, but one thing I wanted to bring up is if you play Disney Dreamlight Valley, thank goodness finally you can get popcorn buckets inside of Disney Dreamlight Valley. You can make get your own popcorn. There's what I find interesting about this is there's the Figment popcorn bucket. And there's a Stitch one. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is like I've never seen this. Is it right? Is this like are we foretelling the future? There's the Cinderella one. We know that exists. There's the balloon one. We know that exists. There's the honey pot. That one was a Tokyo one, and then the Figment one that we had. So yeah, that one definitely looks like that's a thing that could happen. But I mean, it's such a big deal that they even have included them in Dreamlight Valley, which is awesome. But Patrick texted me and said, "Rob, why did you not tell me that there was a Munchling popcorn bucket? Why did you not immediately call your best friend Patrick and say, look, there's a Munchling popcorn bucket?" Because he loves Munchlings and I love popcorn buckets. So Patrick, do you need this popcorn bucket?
I actually just told my wife that I might need to have someone pick that up for me. Yes. By the way, real quick, shout out to Jungle Cruiser for $2. Said Big Al is there to promote DVC in Florida. So Big Al is out there doing the hard work. And the Stitch popcorn bucket, it existed in the past. It's Tokyo Disneyland.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're going to need this popcorn bucket then, is what you're saying?
I need like at least one.
Well, what I can't figure out from it is what is it doing? Like you've got this plastic. Is it just the popcorn part and then it sits in a bag? Is that what's happening there?
Man,
and then you put
it's
the popcorn
adorable.
inside?
Just live with it. Look how cute.
I got an email immediately from or a message immediately from Allie that said I'm putting my foot down. I'm not getting this for you. You can't have this because she thinks it's ridiculous. Not that
she's ridiculous.
Oh, name calling has now happened. Okay, I get it. That's fine. All right, and Desi, last thoughts about that popcorn bucket before
There
we
is
shut this
no
thing down?
way I'm getting that popcorn bucket. I told my husband I would stop buying popcorn buckets because we have no space for any more. But if that Stitch one came here, or if I see it in Tokyo, that's going to be the exception because I said if something really exceptional comes up, I'm not going to be able to help myself. Stitch would be one of those exceptions.
Yep. Uh, Okay, cool. All right. So before we move on, I want to give a shout out for Deep in the Plus. We did return from Witch Mountain a couple weeks ago. Patrick and I got to talk to Ike Eisenman from the actual movie. That was a really great conversation. He shared with us some like a thing that he got from the set that was signed by everybody. That was cool. Last week we did Inside Out, as I mentioned. Desi and I talked about that. This week it's going to be Muppet Treasure Island. Shannon and I will talk about that. Then Rookie of the Year with Stephanie, and then we'll be back on June 5th with Desi and I will be talking about Star Wars Acolyte. So hopefully you'll join us for that. That's Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. I want to say thank you so much to our WIGS members. We love our WIGS, the WDWNT Interglobe Society. Thank you guys, as always, for being members of the family. If you want to learn more about our Patreon program, you go to patreon.com/WDWNT. And don't forget, we were off last week because of Mother's Day, and we wanted to give all the moms, because like half our staff are moms. So Desi, I hope you had a great Mother's Day. But we're going to be on a roll here for a while, so please join us next Sunday night at 9 p.m. for another exciting ParksCenter. Hopefully we'll have more information about Fantasmic's reopening at Disneyland. That's supposed to be happening over the weekend. Also, the drone show. We'll be able to see how much of a tragedy it was trying to get in and out of Disney Springs that night for people. So if you go, get there early, I assume. And if you are a WIGS member, we have a quick pre-show for you after this. So thank you guys so much. Thank you guys on the panel for everything. We appreciate it. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun.
That's the best part.